But I've been married for 14 years. And the special thing about my wife is that she stood her ground. And she was the
Mm.
first woman. By the time I met her, I had been with over 100 women. And I stopped counting at that number of 79. And being an athlete, being with women was very easy because you were kind of seen as like an alpha male, playing football. You had the biggest muscles, you had the nicest abs, and you were on campus and everybody loved the athlete. So there was just so many women who were looking for like a powerful man, so to speak.
Mm.
And a lot of women wanted whoever was cool on the college campus. And it was unfortunate. But when I met my wife, she didn't care about that. She didn't care about me having an 8-pack of abs. She didn't care about me writing poetry. She wanted respect. And so that changed my life because she taught me how to really treat a woman. And being that she was the woman that did that, I knew that that was my wife.
Hi, my loves, and welcome back to my channel. How's everyone doing? If you are new here, hi and welcome. My name is Despina. In this channel, we talk about everything a lifestyle, from your love life to improving how you look, appearance-wise, losing weight, all that kind of stuff. In today's video, I have interviewed Tony Gaskins JR, who is an incredible Christian life coach. Now, he took me through topics ranging from how to find the right person for you and if you should give a cheater a second and third chance. So these are just a few of the topics that we've chosen to talk about in today's video. But without giving away too much, let's get into this. And as usual, if you enjoyed this, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and let's get on with it. I love you all so much. Hi, Tony. How are you? Thank you so much for coming on here on a Friday night, right?
Yes.
Thanks so much. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I am an author since 2007. And I guess today they would call it a life coach. So I work with a lot of professional athletes and then also, corporate individuals. And so between writing books, doing one-on-one coaching, and public speaking events, I guess I would say author, life coach, and speaker.
Okay. Perfect. I first saw you, I think I saw you on Twitter, and you were talking about your career as a life coach. Now, I think that's interesting because, do you know, like, there are so many people that call themselves coaches, life coaches, but I don't really think everybody is qualified to be. I mean, in my opinion. So what do you think sets you apart from everybody else?
Well, I actually don't like the term life coach.
Mm.
It's kind of something that someone made up. I guess maybe one of the pioneers in the space. But for me, I just see it as service. I see it as kind of as you take a step and you see a pitfall or a hole or a detour, you learn from it. And then you share that with the person who is on the journey right behind you. So that's all I do. I just teach from the lessons that I've learned from life.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit about your journey and how you came to where you kind of are now?
Well, I was playing football in college and I really wasn't affirmed as a man. Like I didn't know who I was.
Mm.
And I started looking and trying to be cool. And so one of the things in college was everybody was smoking marijuana. So I had friends and family that sold it at home where I was from. So
Mm.
I started selling marijuana out of the college dorm room. And that was like my claim to fame. It was like, hey, Tony is, the thug. He doesn't just play football. And I just was lame and lost. And
Yeah.
so from doing that, 3 years into my football scholarship, American football, not soccer, my coach kicked me off the team.
Oh,
And from
really?
there, when I went home, I had to find myself. I had to start over. And one of the things I love to do is write. So at 22 years old, I wrote my first book. And when I started writing the book, it took me like maybe 10 days total to write it. So it let me know that I had a gift in writing. And after writing the book, I pitched myself to be a speaker. And then I pitched myself to television shows to tell my story. And from there, people started reaching out and saying, hey, we want you to come speak here, come speak here. We
Mm.
want you to mentor these professional athletes. We want you to do one-on-one coaching with us. And that's really just from me sitting down to write a book. From a male perspective, I answered 10 questions from women in college, and I was in college at the time. And I answered it no holds barred, just told everything. And that really started my career.
Wow. So you were 22.
Yeah.
Wow. Would you say that book was more of a journal? Like, would you say that you describe your experiences from the past, say, 5 years?
Yes, it was probably from the age of 15 to 22 that I was talking about my personal experience, but
Mhm.
then my whole life just talking about my parents' relationship, talking about all of the relationships I saw growing up. So really it was just from my personal perspective. And what I found is
Mm.
that a lot of us go through the same things in love and relationships. A lot of us see and experience the same things around us.
Yep.
And so it's like two types of men, two types of women,
Mm.
and everybody was experiencing the same thing. And so people started coming to me and saying, hey, I read this part of the book and I have more questions. And so from there, I started to answer those questions. And then I found out that you could be a coach on your book's topic, that people will pay you for your time and the value that you provide. And so I started professionally coaching at the age of 23 and just continued to build from there.
That's incredible. Okay, wow. So is that book still around or have you redone it or?
Since then, I have written probably about 20 books. That first book, I guess it was redone in 2012. It's called Mrs. Right. And here recently, my most recent book is A Woman's Influence with my wife. I thought I had a copy. And Make It Work.
I saw that.
So
Yep.
Make It Work. And then the other one, A Woman's Influence. And so I'm still in that space, but I also wrote a business book called The Dream Chaser, which is kind of telling an entrepreneurial journey.
Okay, wow. Can you tell us about your wife and what do you think is the secret to your lasting union?
Let me change my speaker view. Okay,
Sure.
I'll change the camera. Well, I've been married for 14 years, and the special thing about my wife is that she stood her ground, and she was the
Mm.
first woman. By the time I met her, I had been with over 100 women, and I stopped counting at that number of 79. And being an athlete, being with women was very easy because you were kind of seen as like an alpha male, playing football. You had the biggest muscles, you had the nicest abs, and you were on campus and everybody loved the athlete. So there was just so many women who were looking for like a powerful man, so to speak.
Mm.
And a lot of women wanted whoever was cool on the college campus. And it was unfortunate. But when I met my wife, she didn't care about that. She didn't care about me having an 8 pack of abs. She didn't care about me writing poetry. She wanted respect. And
Yeah.
so that changed my life because she taught me how to really treat a woman. And being that she was the woman that did that, I knew that that was my wife, that the woman who could tame me, so to speak, the woman who wouldn't let me just do what I want to do, it pushed me more into manhood. And so that's her. And we really started at the bottom at zero. I got a job, my first real job with my wife. She got her, it wasn't her first job, but like her first real job, 40 hours a week. And we started at the bottom and built to where we are today.
You know what? That's a beautiful story. Beautiful. Um, Now, speaking of the thing, I feel as though it's quite normal these days for guys to sleep with hundreds of women just after the next, one after the next. And then by the time they want to settle down, they can't. They have trouble. For example, they have attachment issues, right? Do you think we've become a culture that actually normalizes belief where you can get whatever you want? You think that social media has contributed to this sleeping around culture?
I do. I mean,
Mm,
social media, but really social media is driven by the music.
okay.
And the music is a lot of times driven by wealthy individuals who have more access. And so, as they are reporting live from what their life is like,
Mm,
having access, having variety, being able to have anything you want, and having people throw themselves at you, men and women. You know, the women can juggle a lot of men, the men can juggle a lot of women, and you see people changing partners all the time. And so they report this from their, pedestal, and
mm,
then the everyday person starts to believe it. The everyday person starts to look at it and say, oh, I can do that too. And
mm.
so today there isn't a lot of real connections being made. And I think that's
Yeah.
why I do the work I do, because
Yeah.
when you lose the real connection, then you lose the family foundation.
Exactly.
And if you lose the family foundation, you lose the world. And so I'm big on monogamy. I'm big on a relationship. And, if you're going to bring children into the world, or if you're going to adopt children, being faithful, being a positive example for the children that you're raising. And if not, just being a good citizen of the world.
Yeah. That is true. Um, how do you describe a real, genuine connection? Would you describe that as, for example, like two people that are willing to come together and sacrifice, or would you describe it as more of a monogamous relationship, or how would you describe that?
Yes. And monogamy is actually a sacrifice, because a
Mm,
lot of people say that it's not human nature to be with one person.
mm,
And so if people believe that, you know, across the board, then monogamy becomes seen as a sacrifice. But
yeah,
really, a genuine connection is about selflessness. And I think as humans, we're so selfish, and we want to be served, and we want everything to be about us. But what I had to do is shift into a space of always thinking about my wife, and hoping that I chose a person that would always think about me. So if I'm always thinking about her and she's always thinking about me, then we meet in the middle and we wash each other with love. And that's what I found. That's the secret.
that's the secret.
If the man is willing to lead in love, and when I say lead, I mean take initiative by treating the woman the way a woman deserves to be treated,
Yeah.
and not waiting on her to cater to him like he's a king. But instead, if the man will take the initiative and treat her like a queen,
Mm,
and then allow her to reciprocate that love. So now, if both people are giving love and receiving love, now you have a healthy union, you have a real relationship.
true. That's really true. When you say how a woman deserves to be treated, what do you mean by that?
I mean, the way her creator intended for her to be treated.
Okay.
So if her creator made her fearfully and wonderfully, then would you yell at her? Would you curse at her? Would you cheat on her? Would you put hands on her? Would you lie to her? Would you deceive her? And so the purest form of love for most men is when a man looks into the eyes of his daughter, and he raises her with a pure love, and he thinks about the man that he will hand her off to. He wants that man to treat her with the same type of protective love that he gave his daughter. And so I think a lot of times in relationships, men, we forget that, and we don't treat our woman the way we would want another man to treat our daughter. And so that's what I mean by treating a woman the way she deserves to be treated, which is to honor and respect her,
Mm.
as your other half.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay. Speaking of cheating, I was watching an interview you did with Good Morning America, I think, or was it the Good Morning Club? I can't recall. And you were saying that you are a big believer in giving people second chances. Now, I understand that. But how about these people that give their cheating partners chance after chance after chance? For example, a good example of this would be Chloe and Tristan Thompson. Now, she's being cheated on now 4 times. Now, when do you think enough is enough? And do you think that you can give a person more than 2 chances or no?
Personally, I wouldn't.
Mm,
Of course, one time is too many, but just understanding humans making stupid choices, one time is too many. So if I just say give a second chance, if you feel in your heart that the person is worthy of a second chance, like
yeah.
you can look at the situation and you can excuse the person, so to speak. Like if you
Mm,
look at the situation and you say, you know what, I created a very toxic environment. I practically pushed my partner away. I forced my partner basically to go cheat, or I wasn't open enough. I wasn't communicating. And they made the stupid choice of cheating instead of breaking up. But I aided them in that situation. So
mm,
if you can find in your heart to say or see where the relationship wasn't mature and it wasn't open in the sense of communicating properly, and you can see where the breakdown happened, and you feel in your heart that you should forgive and give it a second chance and do it the right way, do it better, then I understand that, because I'm a human and I understand grace and I understand mercy and I understand forgiveness. But even one time is too many.
mm.
But if you give a second chance and they cheat again, and then you give a third chance, the first chance we can call it a mistake, which is a bad choice. The second time, it's a choice and a clear choice. And the third time is a habit. So the more you forgive a cheater,
Mm.
the more you will be cheated on. And so I don't believe in forgiving a cheater multiple times, because they are showing you that that is their relationship language with you. And that's all they know how to speak, and that's all they ever will speak. And so at that point, it's no longer loyalty, it's stupidity.
Wow, you know what? That's a really good way of explaining cheating. Like that's really good. So what would be your advice for someone who their partner has cheated on them 1 time and they have given them a second chance? Just say they've got 4 kids. Um, and this person goes and cheats again, but this woman wants to stay together because they've got children under, for example, 12. Would you say in that scenario, for the children's well-being, it is better to stay together or not?
I can't honestly say,
Mm,
to a person's specific situation, because, and I've learned not to judge a person's situation,
mm,
because we never really know. And it's so hard to say just leave, because just leave comes with a lot. Now, I would recommend that person really weigh her options, his or her options, and really look at all resources available. And if this person has a mother or a father who has a home and has an available room or 2 extra rooms, or if this person can go online and find a organization that helps someone start over and relocate and get a new place, and they pay for the rent and the moving expenses,
yeah.
because they raise charitable donations, then I really recommend a person weighing his or her options to see if it's a possibility to move forward. Because to be honest with you, if you're in a relationship and you're being cheated on, then that means you're not at your fullest. You're not at your highest self, because the cheating starts to affect your self-esteem. So if you feel depressed and down and worthless because of this cheating, now you're not giving your full self to your four children. And so they're not seeing you at your best, they're seeing you at your
Mm,
worst. And then the other person who's doing the cheating, they're not at their highest self. So
mm,
now you're in a situation where the children are seeing a toxic example of love. And it will be more damaging than it will be helpful
yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, especially once they figure out what's going on and that they're not getting the fullness from the parents, and they're just getting parents who are just kind of going along to get along.
Spot on. Do you think those children grow up and then they're just so broken that when they go and seek out their own partners, they have similar issues?
A lot of times, that's what statistics would suggest. In a lot of cases with me, with coaching, I meet
Mm,
people who do the opposite of what they saw, because
mm,
they say, hey, I never want to be, weak like my mom, or weak like my dad, or I
yeah.
never want to be with a cheater or a liar like my mom was or like my dad was. And
Mm,
so they go and they look for the opposite. But most often, we become what we are around, and we emulate what we've seen. So what I'm noticing is men who had cheating fathers really struggle to be faithful in a relationship and to really commit to a woman and get married to that woman and be faithful to her, because he saw his dad cheating, or his dad cheated to the point that his mom left his dad, and he didn't get to see what a healthy relationship looks like. Or his dad just left the mom and went to be with another woman, and this young man didn't get to see what a healthy relationship looks like. So he has a
mm,
fear of getting into a relationship because it's never been imprinted for him, it's never been shown to him.
yeah.
How does a man operate and carry himself as a good, faithful man in the household? And so I
Awesome.
see a lot of men today, from certain demographics and from certain situations, afraid to marry, and
Mm,
35 years old and still afraid to marry.
that's really scary. Wow. Okay. How do you know if a person has found God's chosen partner for them? Like, how would you know that? Because I feel as though people just they can't tell and they're like, I could potentially meet a better person tomorrow or
Hmm. Well, the key is, does the person make you better? And what I mean by that, it's not a person's job to make you better, but if the person holds you accountable and speaks life into you, like encourages you and pushes you into your highest self, and refuses to allow you to settle and be less than who you are intended to be,
yeah.
that person is the person for you, especially if you're attracted to them. If you're attracted to their look, their personality, and they are a good person, and they don't hold you down in the sense of lead you into things that
Mm,
are negative or toxic. Like, if a person is doing drugs with you, a lot of times that's not your person. That's not the person you're
mm,
supposed to be with, because what they are enabling and what they are condoning is you continuing to ruin your life, you continuing to give yourself to addictions and toxic things. But if
mm,
a person is encouraging you and saying, hey, start that business, get that degree, lose that weight, gain that muscle, whatever it is that they're encouraging you to do, that is good for your health, good for your life, good for, your body, and you are attracted to them, that's the person for you. It's
it's
always something that it's always somebody else.
Mm,
But you have to look at, what are you okay with?
mm,
So my wife, I'm gonna see women who they have a different body shape. They have different features, they have different lips, different eyes, different, whatever. And those things on another woman may be very attractive, but I'm not going to gamble and go be with another woman because she's attractive, when that other woman may not be as solid as my wife, may not have the heart and the mindset, may not have the integrity, may not have the self-love. And so why would I walk away from a woman who has all of the intangibles for someone who just has a couple of different tangible things that are equally or greater in attraction?
yeah.